Starting this whole tutoring process, I had this question in mind. How will I teach math when I don't fully understand it myself? Coming into our tutoring sessions, I had never had any teaching field experience before. This was all new to me. I felt like I was thrown in without much preparation, but as the weeks went on and I got to know my kids, I became more comfortable writing and putting into practice a lesson plan and teaching the actual lesson. I learned the kinds of activities that my students responded well to and implemented those into my lessons. I went from being extremely nervous about teaching them to feeling pretty comfortable with them. I was so nervous about how I would teach math when I didn't fully understand it myself that I let my fears get in the way. But once I talked it through with my teaching partner, I was much more comfortable and could really look at a lesson and try to teach it from a standpoint that I would understand and that my kids would understand. My co-teacher and I collaborated our lessons and learned from each other things that worked well and things that did not. After each session on the way home, we would talk about what went right and what went wrong and try to brainstorm ways to fix those issues. I think one of the most important and helpful skills that I learned during the tutoring sessions is this: the objective and the assessment need to match up. In one of my first lessons, the objective and assessment did not match well and the students were confused. As I read through my feedback, I learned that if the objective and the assessment are linked, the students will easily be able to make the connection with what they have just learned when they put it into practice. By realizing this piece of information, it helped me write my lesson plans in a clear and neat manner so that it would not confuse me or the kids. In connection to my math history, I was never strong in math. I viewed it as a hurdle to get through. I did not understand these concepts of math well at all. And in light of that, I was terrified to tutor children that were having problems with math because I was one of those students that needed to be tutored when I was in their shoes. I also think that this issue made me very sensitive to what the kids were feeling when they were doing math. Because I understood what it felt like to struggle in math, I wanted to help these students understand math and actually enjoy it themselves as they were doing it. One area in which I struggled with at first was behavior management. I had no idea how to run a classroom or how to discipline children. I learned very quickly that behavior can get out of control with no real reason as to why. When it came time for our kids to actually pay attention and participate, they would become unruly or try to bend the rules. We had a behavior chart where the children's names were on the board and shapes that could be pulled off if they were acting up. This would work in theory, but in practice we had several growing pains to work through. I learned that I get very flustered when I'd have to correct their bad behavior and would lose sight of where I was going with my lesson. I know that behavior management is something I definitely need to work on in the future. This teaching experience was extremely helpful and insightful. I learned so much about what teaching means, how to manage a classroom, how to write a lesson plan, and how to incorporate interesting and educational material into a lesson. I have a whole list of things that I know I need to work on in the future. They include behavior management, connecting the objective to the assessment, and not becoming flustered when a child acts up in class. The most important thing that I learned that will help me in the future is this: that even though I did not understand math well in school, I can teach it to my students so that they will understand. I learned that when a child can connect something that you have taught them to something they already know, it makes you feel truly great. I learned to keep calm and hurdle on.